You know, it's really interesting, the power of the narrative here. Top of X today. In the news, Trump's unrequested guard deployment sparks L.A. riots. Now, that's not what is happening, but the narrative is already shifting because they're very good at narratives. And some people know that, the protests look more like a Middle East color revolution. Did I say that out loud? Yes, I did. And on national broadcast. It's not a free speech protest. It's not. It has nothing to do with anything other than a color revolution. And adding Adam Kinzinger, he said, peaceful protests are fine. Violence is not and will only destroy your message. Please, for the love of God, do not wave a Mexican flag, American flags, or nothing. So here's Adam Kinzinger saying, let me help you. Please, get rid of the Mexican flags and the Venezuelan flags. Today, now an independent reporter, quote, organizers of LA protests are now assembling and handing out American flags to protesters. This comes after days of footage showing them waving Mexican flags while torching cars, attacking police, and burning U.S. flags. It's clear they realize the current optics were a disaster. Now they're intentionally using American flags as an attempt to rebrand and reshape the existing media narrative of the riots. Every American flag I see still has creases. The protesters I've spoken to have also confirmed they are just being handed out to them. You got to love this. You got to love this. You take a bunch of mentally ill people, you soup them up, you put them on the streets. After you've trained them how to protest, you have lawyers in flak jackets all around to make sure that they're there in case anybody is arrested. They're logging anything in case anything can be misconstrued as a violation of their civil rights. The president sends in troops because what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You just going to let this go? And by the way, it's now in Dallas. It's in New York. It's supposed to be in Chicago. They're having another big day. What was it we were talking about earlier today? Jason Buttrill is with us.
No Kings.
No Kings. The No Kings protest. Okay, against Donald Trump. That's going to be good. Hey guys, there's a bonfire over there. Anybody got some gasoline? And this is all part of a plan. And it's very, very well orchestrated. And you need to understand this so you can explain this to your friends. What you're seeing is not organic. It's not spontaneous. It is not the result of raw emotion bubbling up from the streets because ICE is just taking away these children and they're breaking them up from their families. No, they were arresting people as part of a raid about drug cartels, but they also arrested people who have raped, who have murdered, who are the worst of the worst. That's what started all of this. But what you're watching now is a production. It's a script being followed by professional activists, period. Funded by organizations and deep, deep pockets that have deep roots in radical ideology. And if you understand the playbook, you get it. If you don't, you're gonna fall for the whole show again and again and again. So let me walk you through this. Over the weekend, all these hundreds of people took to the streets in L.A. They blocked roads. They blocked the freeway. They attacked federal officers. They burned American flags. The headlines told us it was an outrage over ICE or immigration or injustice or whatever. But if you adjust, it's almost like the news is a scratch lottery ticket. You don't have to dig. You just have to scratch the surface a little bit and you'll reveal everything you need to know. If you just scratch the surface, you'll see something very different. Coordinated, funded, strategized. These groups are not improvising. They are following tactics that were designed and refined by radical thinkers. People who taught this stuff in universities, wrote about it in activist handbooks. You don't believe me? Look up Beautiful Trouble. They trained organizers to weaponize emotion, chaos, optics. This is all carefully crafted. And this is where it gets dangerous because the whole thing is designed to bait law enforcement and politicians into overreacting. Why? Because if they can get a headline that says police crack down brutally on protesters, they win. Because one thing they took from Martin Luther King is optics matter. It's everything. They need to look like martyrs. And if anybody takes the bait, if the authorities come down too hard, too fast, they win the public relations war. Now, they are currently not winning it, but I think our Marines are being put into a very tough situation. And so is our president. What are you going to do? Nothing? But these people are very good at this, and they understand momentum. They understand that protests feed on energy. So what do? How do you stop things without playing right into their hands? You have to react with precision. You go after and arrest the worst offenders, the violent ones. You make sure the public sees those arrests. You show them the Molotov cocktails, the assaults on officers, the destruction. And that begins to reframe the story. It's not about justice. This is about lawlessness. But I want you to listen to exactly what the media has been saying about all of this. Cut 4. Listen to this. This is ABC Los Angeles.
Large group of people. It could turn very volatile if you move law enforcement in there in the wrong way and turn what is just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn into a massive confrontation and altercation between officers and demonstrators.
Okay. All right. You don't want to send in the officers because these are just a bunch of people. They're showing cars on fire in the street. You're sending them in, and you could have a confrontation with a bunch of people who are just having fun watching cars burn. Now, I don't know how they define fun or innocent, but if you've set a car on fire, you need to have police and fire people respond and put that fire out. And you arrest the people who were just, quote, having fun watching cars burn. You arrest those people. And then when the momentum slows, you start arresting the road blockers and the obstructionists, and you use the right language. You say it clearly. The right to protest does not include the right to block an ambulance. The right to protest does not include letting a building burn while a fire truck is stuck behind a mob. That messaging, that works because it's true. And because average Americans, your neighbors, your coworkers, your family, they hate political violence. And this is all this is. And they want safety. They want order. They want their city back. But are you seeing in the media any of this on who's orchestrating this? Who's paying for any of this? Has the media asked anyone why the protests seem to operate like a stage production with props, signs, sound systems, pre-made hashtags, all of that? Have you heard them ask a single question? No. Because they don't want you to ask those questions, and they can't afford those questions to be answered. They want you to focus on reaction, not the cause, not the structure, not the money behind it, but the action. This, be very clear in your mind. This is not a riot. This is a theater of revolution, period. It is a manufactured moment designed to shape public perception, erode the trust in law enforcement, and move the Overton window so far left that the very institutions holding the country together begin to crack. And they're going to do it in city after city after city. So here's what your media should be asking, and here's what your media should be answering for you. Who trained these activists? We have that answer for you. Who funds these organizations? We have that answer for you today. Who benefits politically if chaos breaks out? I think you know the answer to that one. Why are the same tactics and slogans used across cities and causes? And even countries? We have that answer for you. Why do protests always erupt right when a political narrative needs reinforcement? None of this stuff is new. None of it. This is a continuation of the same destabilization playbook that has been used. This is Saul Alinsky. It's just updated for the social media age. And until you see it for what it really is, they will keep running the same game and the same plays over and over and over. So please, for the sake of the Republic, do not take the bait. Don't let your neighbors take the bait. Watch the narrative closely. Ask the questions the media won't. How come these guys are coming in and they have shields? Where did they get the shields? Did you notice this? They're shields, and they're all painted with revolutionary slogans. They're plywood, and they have metal handles on the back of them. Well, you didn't just pick those up on the way in at, Home Depot. Somebody made those. Who made them? Who paid for them? When did they make them? Who's funding it? Now, I'm going to take a quick break, and I'm going to come back, and I'm going to tell you about the Mexican BLM. This is one of the major funders and organizers of these riots. And believe it or not, you've actually heard of this guy who's running it before. You may have forgotten. Good thing we didn't. That is coming next. 60 seconds. First, let me tell you about Simply Safe. We all try to be a productive part of society. You pay your taxes, you do your job, you take care of your family, you mind your own business, and you expect that, everybody around you is going to do the same thing, but they're not. There's some really, really stupid people in the world. And I'm talking about, F around and find out who starts these riots kind of stupid, The kind of people who don't believe in property rights, don't believe in personal responsibility, who might just decide one night, your house, that's an easy target. For that, there is Simply Safe. Simply Safe is award-winning home security that works 24/7 to protect you and your family and everything you worked for. With professional monitoring, smart alarms, cameras, entry sensors, and response time that is actually fast enough to matter. The system is straightforward, dependable, and best of all, it doesn't take a genius to set it up. You can't always count on the world to be sane. In fact, I don't think you can count on it ever to be sane. But you can make sure you're protected. Visit simplysafe.com/Beck. Claim 50% off a new system with professional monitoring plan and get your first month free. That's simplysafe.com/Beck. There is no safe like Simply Safe. 10 seconds, station ID. I'm grateful to Jason Buttrill, former Marine, military intelligence, and head of our research department for the Glenn Beck Program, head writer for our TV show. I asked him over the weekend if he could come up. We thank you for getting on a plane right away so we could spend the week looking at these riots. I said yesterday to you, Jason, we've got to go back into our archives because I know we've talked about all these people. The same people are involved. What did you find yesterday?
Yeah, and by the way, I was like, nah, there's no way.
Really?
Way back then, are we going to find somebody? I don't know. So we've been pouring through names of all the people. Like, if you look at every single day, there's another group that they're saying these people are one of the organizers. Main ones.
Right.
There was one name that stood out. Do you want to talk about now or in the past first?
Let's go in the past.
Okay, so I want to reintroduce you to someone that you already introduced the audience to back in 2010. Okay. Now, back in 2010, I'll just set the stage. You were talking about all the different Marxists and radical leftists that were around in, the Obama sphere. Mm-hmm. And you pointed out a guy that you affectionately named Revolutionary Ron. Revolutionary Ron. His real name is Ron Gochez, and he's a high school teacher. He still is today, but back then he was also a high school teacher. And he was talking in support of a group called La Raza, and he was at the campus, the race of UCLA. Now, this is back in 2007. You opened your TV program in 2010 with this. This is Cut 5. He's talking about what all of this resistance is really all about. Here he is.
As a militante of Unión del Barrio, a revolutionary Mexican organization here We understand what the camarada is saying. You're right, this is not just about Mexico. This is about a global struggle against imperialism and capitalism. Our enemy is the same enemy as Hugo Chavez. That Hugo Chavez says, our enemy is the same enemy that keeps Africa poor. Our enemy is the same enemy that keeps Asia poor. Our enemy is capitalism and imperialism.
Okay, so that's a high school teacher, kids. So that's what I pointed out in 2010. All right.
Right.
What'd you find?
So so this guy now today is part of, basically he's kind of like the Mexican nationalism version of Black Lives Matter.
Okay.
They're on the ground now in Los Angeles, and he resurfaced. We saw him yesterday as we were tracking down some of these people, and he was talking on Democracy Now! It's like a radical left, media. You know who it is.
Yeah.
He was talking about that. I don't know if you want to listen to him, but he basically was talking about. So he's praising and setting the stage for what's going on right now and how the resistance is rising up.
And when was this from?
This is yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday. Okay.
That's cut 7.
But what they didn't think was going to happen was that the people would resist and would fight back. And that's exactly what happened in Paramount and in Compton, California, where for 8.5 hours, the people combated in the streets against the Border Patrol. And after 8.5 hours of battle, and it was a battle because there were people throwing back tear gas, people throwing anything that they could to defend themselves and to defend the workers that were being surrounded by over 100 Border Patrol agents. After 8.5 hours, the Border Patrol, the sheriffs had to retreat. They had to retreat because of the fierce resistance of the community, and the hundreds of workers that were in the factories around them were able to escape. They were able to go to their cars and go home.
Wow.
You know, you can take Ron out of the revolution, but you can't take the revolution out of Revolutionary Ron, can you?
That's amazing. It's amazing. Okay, so now he's a big part of coordinating all of this.
Right.
Correct? And the name of his group is?
Union del Barrio.
Del Barrio.
Wow.
We talked about it yesterday. It was in another story.
Yeah.
We talked about it. Didn't have the connection to Revolutionary Ron. We have one more SOT from him, right?
Yeah. So you were making the point of how they're teaching they're building these activists and they're training them and they're sending them out. This is Revolutionary Ron on what he does with his students. That's cut 6.
And so some of the things that we can do as teachers is to organize. We just have to be really intelligent on how we do that. We have to know we're under the microscope. We have to know that Zionists and others are going to try to catch us in any way that they can to get us into trouble. So I help the students to organize. We go to those actions, and a lot of us here that have been to those actions have brought our students.
Unbelievable.
You hear this? Now, he's not only a communist revolutionary, he's also warning against Zionists.
Glenn Beck.
More in a second. It's unbelievable. All right, if you're living in California right now, I just bet you'd love to be living in, I don't know, anywhere else. Arizona, Texas, Tennessee, Florida, maybe a little further out where you can see the stars again and not hear a helicopter every 15 minutes saying, "Step away from the flaming car." Maybe, dare I say it, somewhere slightly less retarded in the country. Well, if you're going to make that move, you're going to need a really good real estate agent, and you don't want just any agent. You want somebody who actually knows the market, knows, that they've been vetted full time. They know how to get the best deal without wasting your time and your patience. They know how to sell in a revolutionary market. That's why I built Real Estate Agents I Trust. It's a service that connects you with the best agents in your area or the area that you're heading to. They've earned their spot, not by buying a listing, but by being exceptional at what they do. So whether you're buying, selling, or just finally ready to stop telling yourself, maybe next year, this is where you start this year. RealestateAgentsITrust.com. That's RealestateAgentsITrust.com.
Subscribe to the free email newsletter. It is available at glennbeck.com. Has every story that we talk about every day. Sign up now, glennbeck.com.
Welcome to the Glenn Beck Program. Thank you so much for listening. You know, a lot of people can tell you what happened because you have eyes, they have eyes. A few people can tell you what it all means. We try to do not only those two things, but also tell you what's coming next. And these revolutionaries, like Revolutionary Ron, that Jason Buttrill, who is our chief researcher, who is in with me now, was explaining. This is a guy who we've known and been watching for a very long time, and now is part of the organizing force. And he is a high school teacher. He is infecting our kids in California, and he is part of this whole movement, bringing these riots to the streets. And we're going to have more on this on Wednesday night, right?
Yeah. You'll never guess what he's a high school teacher of. Surely not history. Say not history.
Definitely not American history. Of course not. It's amazing how consistent these people are. Yeah. And they can't help themselves. They always tell you who they are and what they're about to do. And it gets ugly because it's going. Stu, were you in your black bloc gear last night in Dallas, part of the riots in Dallas?
Not officially, no.
No, not officially.
Not officially.
Okay.
I can't
wink,
admit
wink,
that on
you
the
weren't
air.
there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. I got it. You can always tell Stu because he's the one in the black bloc gear with the red leather soles on his shoes.
I don't have that. No.
You don't have that?
No.
Yeah.
Red leather.
That's the way.
Suit.
If I were going to do that, yeah, it's a what's his name? Christian. What's the name of that guy? Sarah, you'd know. Louboutin. Christian Louboutin, right? And he makes very expensive shoes. Women have those shoes. But if I were going to do the black bloc thing, I would go out and buy a pair of those shoes just because that way police and the military could go, see the guy with the red soled shoes? He's one of us. He's definitely not an anarchist. He's one of us. So anyway, but it's now Boston. They're talking about Tampa. Dallas happened last night. This is going to spread all over the country.
Yeah, that makes it a lot more difficult to deal with, too, right? Obviously, we remember back in 2020, it was kind of everywhere for a while there.
Yeah.
Eventually, just tamped down. But there's only so much you can do, right? You can't send Marines to every city, right? I guess you can pretty much with National Guard cover a lot of that. But does this get too difficult to handle if it gets too widespread?
No, I think, it does if you take the wrong tactic. I think Donald Trump is in a very tough situation. You have to send in the National Guard. You have to, at least to protect the federal workers. And this is all they're doing is protecting the federal buildings and the federal workers. They're not playing a police role. They can't play a police role. But I feel bad. And Jason, you were a Marine, once a Marine, always a Marine. They're in a horrible situation. The Marines are there not to make peace. They break things and kill people. That's what they're trained to do, not to be peacemakers. And so sending them in and then saying, by the way, don't do anything that you were trained to do has got to be wildly frustrating to them and could be a match that lights the whole country on fire.
Yeah, when I saw that, it worried me a bit because the Marines are, like you said, they're a frontline assault force.
Yeah.
They're not a peacekeeping force.
No.
And I've been in that situation. I know exactly how these men and women are feeling right now.
Oh, they got to be pissed.
Not only are they a frontline assault force, they break things. They're the most belligerent, angry people I've ever met in my life. And they have been waiting to get on buses. They've been waiting to get on buses to go out to Los Angeles right now. So right now you have a bunch of guys.
You mean not waiting like, I can't wait to get there, just waiting in line like, come on.
Right. Hurry up and wait style.
Yeah, got it.
They are pissed off. Mm-hmm. They're an assault force. And not a good scenario for them to be in. It's not their mission.
I can see why the president sent them because it is psychologically, we're sending in the Marines. Yeah. The problem is you're dealing with professional revolutionaries, and they don't care. They're excited that the Marines. I believe they're excited. Here's what the president should be doing right now. I agree. He needed to send in the National Guard and the Marines. I agree, but be very careful that Be very, very careful. One mistake there can set the whole thing on fire. And they know it. The left knows it. Here's what he should be doing. Going after Revolutionary Iran. Follow the money. Shut down Act Blue. Shut down any of these organizations that have been laundering money and shoving money to these organizations. You should find out who is running it, arrest the leaders of these things, and shut the money down. That's the best thing that he can do.
Right, and the money is vast and extensive, and that's something we're going to show you on Wednesday. That we talked about, I think, yesterday, about this guy Neville Singham, that's a millionaire, that's a multimillionaire that lives
in the news again today.
In the news again today. We have the No Kings thing that you mentioned. That's going to be, I think, the same day as the military parade all over the country. Ads are going up now, funded by Christy Walton, the Walmart heiress. That's a little bit of money.
You know who else is involved with the Singham guy? Disney's granddaughter.
What? Walt
Disney's granddaughter. I saw a picture with her and him at some, fundraiser. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Wow. I mean, the great families of the past that actually had American dreams, conquered the American wilderness and were able to realize their dreams and create so many dreams for other people. All of their families, I think, have just gone insane, truly insane. And that's where I think the FBI should be targeting. You are going after the revolutionaries on the streets. They're nothing but pawns. They're stupid, moronic, idiotic, useful idiots. That's all they are. They couldn't tell you their ass from their elbow. Go ahead. Tell me what the river to the sea actually means. They don't know. They don't know. Quote some Marx. Tell me one good thing and one bad thing that America did. Show me any kind of critical thinking at all. They're not going to be able to do it. The ones who are really in charge are the ones who are raising them and training them and hiring them. Did you see, I sent you something last night, Jason, the job application that is going around in Los Angeles? Where, did you see it? Mm-mm. Oh, I've got to look it up. I sent it to you because we have to present it on Wednesday for the Wednesday night special. There's a job application that went out, and it's looking for basically ex-military, but if you're military, if you are ex-military, they don't really want you. Okay, so they want people that are thinking that way, been trained kind of in that thinking, that are militant, okay, but they don't want patriots in it. And they won't say what it's for, but you're paid an awful lot of money. And this is what's been happening time and time again. They'll go and they'll hire all of these people to come in and train others. And we've got to go to the source. Forget about the ground troops. I mean, you can't forget about them, but you know what I mean. You want to stop this, you have to stop the money. You have to play that. Which song was it that had Revolutionary Ron talking about, what he's doing in school?
Oh, that's
go ahead.
That's X, yeah.
Play it.
And so some of the things that we can do as teachers is to organize. We just have to be really intelligent on how we do that. We have to know we're under the microscope. We have to know that Zionists and others are going to try to catch us in any way that they can to get us into trouble. So I help the students to organize. We go to those actions, and a lot of us here that have been to those actions have brought our students.
This is a high school history teacher. I mean, why is this guy still employed? Stu, do you remember 2007, 2008? I asked a question on the air one day. It was about the teachers' unions in California, and they reversed a long-standing law that they had in their bylaws from like 1971, and they reversed it. And what it was is in 1971, they put anyone, you cannot be a teacher in the teachers' union if you have been a part of a revolutionary force or have been involved with anyone that was trying to overthrow the United States government. And they reversed it. And I said, why would you do that? Why? I mean, that's just a good rule of thumb. I mean, I think that should be in every employee handbook. You know what I mean? You've ever tried to overthrow the United States of America and part of a communist revolutionary movement? Just let us know, because you shouldn't be working here. But especially as teachers. And in California, this is about 2008, they reversed that. Why? So they could put people like that into our high schools.
You mentioned how is he employed. Do you want to know the event that he's speaking at, what the event is actually called?
What?
It's called How to Be a Teacher and Organizer and Not Get Fired. That's what they're strategizing.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it is absolutely incredible. These are the people that the FBI should be going after right now. I mean, Pam Bondi said yesterday that they identified the guy who was throwing the concrete, bricks at the federal agents. They caught him. He was, I think, being arrested last night. It's important to get the guys who are on the streets doing bad things. It is more important. When we went after, what was his name? Soleimani. Why was that so important? I mean, you could kill half the Revolutionary Guard. You did more damage by taking out the number one guy. We should be arresting the money people. We should be arresting the people who are teaching the people. Why is there no focus on this? That's where we should be focusing all of our energy. And that's where we're focusing all of our energy on this program. And you'll see it all week on the podcast. We'll be showing you all week. And then also on the Wednesday night special, we're going to lay out a lot of this stuff. So you know the names, you know the players. And if you've watched me for 25 years, you're going to remember seeing some of these people. You'll be like, oh, holy crap. Look how Ronnie grew up. And look what he's doing now. All of that on the Wednesday night special. All right, our sponsor this half hour is American Financing. Ever feel like you're just working harder than ever, but you're falling further and further behind? Prices go up, interest rates go up, bills show up like clockwork, and before you know it, you're spending half your income just to stay in place and tread water. If half the income, it's probably more than that. And if you're carrying high interest debt, or if your mortgage rate is still locked in from a bad year, you could be losing hundreds or thousands of dollars every single month. That's why I want you to call American Financing. They are not a bank. They are a family-based mortgage company. They have been helping people just like you lower their payments, consolidate debt, breathe again financially, and often without resetting the term of your loan. Their consultants are salaried, so they don't get commissions for pushing bad deals because the bank wants to get a bunch of people into this loan. They're there to help run the numbers. They're there to help you understand the options that you do have, because I know what it feels like. You get into this situation and you feel like, I can't get out. I mean, what do I even do? And so you stop thinking about it, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. Please, all you have to do is make a 10-minute phone call. Do it right now. 10-minute phone call, no obligation, no games, just straight answers and real solutions, because your future shouldn't feel like a burden. It should feel like progress. American Financing at 800-906-2440, 800-906-2440, or AmericanFinancing.net.
NMLS 182334, NMLSConsumerAccess.org. APR for rates in the 5 starts at 6.799% for well-qualified borrowers. Call 800-906-2440 for details about credit costs and terms.
Glenn Beck.
Millions of Americans pop fish oil supplements like clockwork. I've been told omega-3s are essential for good health, and it's true. There's a lot of people that aren't checking in on this afterward, like they just take it and never think about it. Are they actually doing anything for you is the real question here. Has fish oil made a dent in your blood pressure? Has it eased joint pain or stiffness? Has it knocked down inflammation? If you're being honest, the answer is probably no, or at least you're not sure. So why not think this over again. Native Path Antarctic krill oil is a completely different animal. This is something that sets it apart. Krill oil packs a powerful antioxidant called astaxanthin, and this is not marketing fluff. It's pretty well known. It's an ingredient that delivers results that you can actually feel. Native Path customers report the real deal. Blood pressure drops, joint pain fading, inflammation going down, changes that you can actually notice. Kind of nice. Native Path backs this up with an incredible offer, up to 66% off. Free shipping is included, and they've got a bulletproof 365-day money-back guarantee. So there's no risk here. 1 full year to test it. The special offer is only available at nativekrill.com/blaze, nativekrill.com/blaze. nativekrill.com/blaze. Stop wondering if your supplement is working. Make sure to switch to something that delivers results. It's Native Path Antarctic Krill Oil at nativekrill.com/blaze.
Welcome to the Glenn Beck Program. Senator John Fetterman tweeted last night, quote, "I unapologetically stand for free speech, peaceful demonstrations, and immigration. But this is not that. This is anarchy and true chaos. My party loses the moral high ground when we refuse to condemn setting cars on fire, destroying buildings, and assaulting law enforcement." Which leads me to the question, do you have to have some sort of brain damage to make sense if you're in the Democratic Party? I mean, he's the only guy that seemingly makes sense from time to time. And everybody's like, well, yeah, he's got brain damage. I'll take the brain damage for the block, please. It's crazy.
I'll say, too, like, this is the type of candidate that would be dangerous. On the left. If you don't have to be sane on all these policies, because the American people will go. I mean, we will go along with minimum wage increases. Josh Hawley's apparently now proposing a $15 minimum wage. So, like, we have no standards when it comes to economics or giant programs or any of that crap. It's this sort of stuff is why Democrats lose, right? Like women being, brutalized by men hitting volleyballs into their faces and the left cheering them on. That type of crap is the stuff that people recoil from. Fetterman seems to be the only one who's nailed this. He's in such a terrible package, like that. He's not the candidate to do this. But if you found a Democrat who would basically support most of the Democratic platform, but stood up against these lunatics, it would be very dangerous. I hope they don't figure that out.
I know. Stu, I will tell you that there is a new study out. Here it is. USA Today has a column out today that says that transgender athletes, men, have no greater ability than women when it comes to sports.
This is what I'm talking about.
There is, quote, "There is no scientific evidence that transgender women athletes have a physical advantage over cisgender women athletes."
It's just completely insane to say a thing like that. Everyone knows you're wrong or lying. Everyone knows it.
And the guy with brain damage is the one that understands it. How crazy do you have to be?
See, I disagree. I think they all understand it, but they won't say it. He's the only one who will actually say it. That's the power. If they